closest thing I've seen to actually tasting like an Oreo cookie without using an Oreo cookie ever. And look, it's gooey and warm in the center. So amazing. Welcome back to the Anabolic Hub, where we make anabolic deliciousness. We're back inside my kitchen today, and we're doing another recipe review. We're going back to Haylee over at Hayle's Kitchen, and we're taking a look at her half-baked Oreo protein fudge. Yes, Oreo protein fudge. I know, when I read it for the first time, I was like, that sounds amazing. I have all the ingredients, just gotta put it together. Looking forward to trying this one. Needless to say, anything Oreo always gets bumped up to the top of my list, especially for a review. So with no further ado, let's get things started by having a look at the ingredients. Here we go. Cookies and cream whey casein blend, dark cocoa powder, coconut flour, baking powder, swerve, granular, unsweetened almond milk, egg whites, vanilla extract, reduced fat cream cheese, plain non-fat Greek yogurt, Oreo cookies. This is another one of those magical recipes where we're mixing together some dry ingredients, we're mixing together some wet ingredients, and we're combining the two for some anabolic deliciousness. So let's get things started here by mixing together our dry ingredients first. First dry ingredient is going to be 31 grams of our PE Science cookies and cream whey casein blend. Just as a side note, anybody else notice with the PE Science protein powder that their scoop is bigger than an actual serving size? Just something to be aware of if you're just scooping it and not weighing it, but as you know here, we always weigh. Next, we need 10 grams of our dark cocoa powder. I'm using the Black Dutch cocoa powder from the Cocoa Trader, available on Amazon if anyone is wondering. Then it's 7 grams of our coconut flour. 2 grams of our baking powder, not baking soda, baking powder. And one of our first two optional ingredients that Haylee gave us is going to be a 0-calorie sweetener. She recommends stevia. You know, here we use Swerve granular. So I'm gonna put in, just to add a little bit more sweetness, 10 grams of our Swerve granular. And it's not Haylee's instruction, but it is mine. We're gonna mix or sift all of our dry ingredients together, as we always do. Once we have the dry ingredients as one nice uniform color, we've fully dispersed all of our baking powder because we are going to be baking this. We are good to go with the dry ingredients. Next, we're gonna move on to the wet ingredients. First wet ingredient is going to be 33 grams of our liquid egg whites. Then we'll do 1 gram of the vanilla extract. And then comes the almond milk, where it's obviously going to greatly depend on which type of protein powder that you do use. I've never made this before. Haylee recommends 60 milliliters of almond milk. Not quite sure how that translates into grams. I've seen it done 1-to-1. I've seen it measured differently. Anyway, I'm going to add in just a little bit. We're gonna go with half of that in grams. We'll start with 30 grams of our almond milk, and if we need more, we'll add more. But as you know, we can always put more in, but we can't take any out. 30 grams to get things started here. And normally I do mix with a dinner spoon. It's more of a tradition at this point than anything else, but today I'm in a spatula kind of mood, so we'll use this. Mixing together our wet ingredients. So I just wanted to break in real quick here to remind you to smash the like button. Consider subscribing if you're not subscribed. Lots of great content coming out, new recipes, new recipe reviews, maybe a vlog or two, we'll see. And why don't you tell me in the comment section, Mega Stuffed Oreos, is that gluttonously too much filling? Or is that just the right amount because there's never enough filling? Let me know in the comment section. All right, back to the video. I can confirm it still clangs, even with the spatula. Anyway, next step is to combine our dry ingredients with our wet ingredients, which we'll do in 3 separate batches. Batch number 1. Batch number 2. And of course, batch number 3. I have to say, it is starting to smell quite Oreo-y. And I did only use the 30 grams of the almond milk, and it seems to have worked perfectly, so I'm really glad I did not add in 60 grams. Obviously, there is a gram to milliliter difference in measuring, so I use 30 grams. If you're using my same ingredients, that should work well for you too. We are done mixing together our batter. The next step is to get started on our filling. Our first ingredient for the filling is going to be 14 grams of our plain, non-fat Greek yogurt, negative scale measuring system. 14 grams is not a lot of Greek yogurt. With that little bit that I have left there on the spoon, I do in fact have 14 grams of the plain non-fat Greek yogurt, exactly. Next, it says we need 11 grams of our reduced fat cream cheese. It says it needs to be softened, so what I'm going to do is measure it out, put it in a microwave safe container, microwave it for 10 seconds to soften it up, and then I'll add it in with the rest of our ingredients. And through the magic of editing, you were able to skip over microwaving this for 10 seconds, but nonetheless, it's been done. Let's add it in with our first ingredient. And the next ingredient, it calls for some vanilla protein powder. I'm gonna keep rolling with our whey casein blend cookies and cream because I think that's going to provide enough of a vanilla flavor as well as adding more to our cookies and cream flavor. So I'm gonna be putting in 3 grams of it here. Somehow I had exactly 3 grams in the scoop. Done. Then it says we need 5 milliliters of almond milk. To me, that means add in just as much as you think you need until you get the consistency desired. So I'm gonna add in a little bit at a time and mix as I go. And this is looking very Oreo cream filling like, so I think we're good there. For reference, I added in 7 grams of the almond milk and it seems to have worked perfectly. And one of the best parts I'm finding out about this recipe is that it is super simple to put together. Next up, what we're gonna do is go back to our batter. We're gonna add in half of it here, then put in our cream filling, put the second half of the batter on top, top it with our Oreo cookies, then we're going to put it in the oven. So let's get the assembly process going here by putting in half of the batter first. And before we go on, we want to make sure that we have our little ramekin dish here fully greased down because we don't want any of this anabolic deliciousness to stick to our ramekin. So high capacity nonstick cooking spray loaded, fire away. And when you're done with the layering process, you should have something that looks like this in your glass ramekin, what looks to be a little bit of Oreo deliciousness that I cannot wait to start baking. But before we do that, we have to add on our second optional ingredient, which just so happens to be 2 Oreos that are chopped up here. To me, whenever Oreo is an option to put in any recipe, it's never optional, it's a necessity. So we're gonna do it here. We're gonna top our beautifully layered Oreo fudge brownie loaded with protein with some Oreo deliciousness to give it a little more punch. Oh my word, if you thought this thing looked good before, just wait until you top it with 2 Oreos. It looks so good. It is now time to bake this up. We're going to put it in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius for 12 to 14 minutes. Then we're gonna take it out, let it cool, and then it's over to the taste test table. And after exactly 12 minutes, I've taken it out of the oven. You can see some of the Oreo batter has risen up and is baked up nicely. We're supposed to have a nice gooey center here for the fudge Oreo part of this protein deliciousness. And of course, all those Oreos on top are only going to add more of an authentic Oreo flavor. Enough talking about it. We're gonna let it cool and take it over to you know where. And we're back at the taste test table yet again, doing another recipe review. Anything Oreo is always a pleasure to try out, so hopefully this one does not disappoint. It smells incredible. It looks Oreo-y. It has such Oreo-ness to it that I can't wait to take the first bite because I do believe, and I hate to prejudge, but I do believe it's going to be the best bite when it's the first bite. So I don't want to digress any longer. Let's get right to it. Picking up our spoon, we're gonna dig right in. I will pause for 1 second and say that it does look like the outside layer has cooked a little bit. So I'm hoping that the center is nice and gooey and Oreo-y and delicious. But let's not talk about it any longer. Let's try it going in right here. Oh, we got some gooiness here. First bite, best bite, let's see. Oh, wow. A little bit of crunch from the Oreo topping that we put on, and whatever is in the center there, the filling, the batter that we made. Oh, unbelievable. Tastes just like Oreo if it were fudge. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Let me give you a close-up of what this looks like here. I don't know if you can tell that gooiness there, but look, maybe if I use the spoon. Look at that gooey center, definitely half baked. The outside is cooked. You can't really tell because of the Oreo crumbles on top, but the top of the batter is cooked. And look, it's gooey and warm in the center. So amazing. Now, of course, our first optional ingredient of the Swerve granular is definitely adding to the sweetness. You may be able to get away with not using that. Myself, I like my meals to be extra sweet. The sweeter the better, so I wanted to add in some of that. But if you don't like your stuff too sweet, you might even be able to leave it out and it would still taste just fine. Obviously the Oreo toppings on top add a little Oreo-ness flavor to it. Let's try just some of the center so we won't get any Oreo cookie in there, just to see what that tastes like exactly. We'll capture some of the filling and some of the batter that we made and put together. Let's see. Oh yeah. Wow. I'll tell you, it's not exactly Oreo, because nothing is exactly Oreo except an Oreo, as we've already discussed. But that is probably as close as it's ever going to be. That is pretty good. That filling mixed with that batter gives the closest thing I've seen to actually tasting like an Oreo cookie without using an Oreo cookie ever. It truly does live up to the name half-baked because the top and the bottom are clearly cooked, while the center is a nice gooey, fudgy, protein deliciousness. So good. I have to say, I am impressed. I am really impressed with this. The 12 minutes ended up being perfect for me. It came out just as it was described on her recipe site. I will actually link to it in the description box below if you want to go check it out. Highly recommend that you do. Hayle, she's got a bunch of high protein recipes on her website and her Instagram. I'll put her Instagram down below as well. Definitely check her out. She's super creative. Everything is always high in protein. She even mentioned this one might be too much protein, and she might be right. But for us in the anabolic community, it's probably just right. But to quote the great Remington James, if you made it exactly the way I did with all the same ingredients, what you'd end up with is 390 calories, 32 grams of carbs, 16 grams of fat, 34 grams of protein. So obviously our fat content has increased with the 2 Oreos that we put on top. Is kind of like a mix-in, but you could easily subtract those out. You're obviously going to lower your calories significantly. You'd probably have it around 230 calories. Your fat would definitely be low single digits. If you were looking to have something that was a little more low cal, but still had that Oreo flavoring, obviously an option. Could also just take one of the Oreos off, however you wanted to do it to make it work for your calories. Even still, with 2 Oreos, we're still under 400 calories. Could definitely be a snack for a lot of people. Just absolutely fantastic. I gotta tell you, I am just thoroughly enjoying this. I mean, it's a must try. You have to try it. You have to try it. If you do, please let me know in the comment section because I'd love to hear how it turned out for you. I can actually tell this would taste good on its own. As I continue to eat more of it, and of course the Oreo toppings go along with it, you get to the bottom and you're left with just the filling and the batter that we made. Having that on its own, definitely very much Oreo-like. Like I said, one of the closest things, if not the closest thing I've seen to getting that Oreo flavor that I've ever had in any recipe. I think this is better than Flexible Dining Lifestyle Oreo cookie dough. I'm not even kidding. This is like, whew, blowing my mind. I don't know if it's because it's just warm because we baked it. I don't know, but this is amazing. So, suffice to say, I am in Oreo heaven right now, but it is getting to be about that time. I gotta get up out of here, so I'll see you in the next one. Bye.